Imagine for a moment that the quality of your entire life could change in the space of a single decision. One choice, one shift, one moment of courage could completely alter the path you're walking right now. Think about it. How many times in your life have you stood at a crossroads, uncertain about which way to go, only to look back later and realize that what you decided in that instant shaped everything that followed? Here's the truth. Our lives are not defined by the conditions we face, but by the decisions we make. That's the heartbeat of Awaken the Giant Within. Tony Robbins doesn't simply write a book. He hands us the keys to unlock the massive power that has been lying dormant inside us all along. The title itself is a challenge. Awaken. Wake up. Realize that within you is a giant, an unstoppable force of energy, creativity, resilience, and determination that is capable of creating an extraordinary life. The only reason it hasn't been unleashed yet is because it has been lulled to sleep by fear, self-doubt, old habits, and limiting beliefs. Tony Robbins isn't a man who speaks theory. He's someone who has lived this truth. Raised in poverty, faced with constant struggle, even working as a janitor earning $40 a week, Robbins was not handed success. He created it, and not overnight, but through a relentless commitment to learning, changing, and taking action. He devoured books, studied psychology, attended seminars, and experimented with every principle he discovered until he transformed his own life. By the time he was in his mid-20s, he was not only financially free, but also leading others to breakthroughs they never imagined possible. Why does this matter to us today? Because the world we live in is louder, faster, and more overwhelming than ever. With so much distraction, so much pressure, and so much uncertainty, it's easy to feel powerless. We convince ourselves that the economy, our background, our circumstances, or other people's opinions are what control us. Robbins flips that idea upside down. He says the real power is not out there. It's in here. It's in the way you think, the beliefs you hold, the values you prioritize, and the actions you choose every single day. And here's the kicker. Change doesn't take years. It doesn't require a lifetime of waiting. Tony Robbins insists that change can happen in a single heartbeat, the moment you decide. Not someday, not when conditions are perfect, not when life slows down, but now. Think about the areas of your life where you've settled. Maybe it's your health. You know you should eat better, exercise more, sleep deeper, but you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. Maybe it's your finances. You dream of saving, investing, building wealth, but always feels just out of reach. Or maybe it's your relationships. You want more connection, more honesty, more love, but you stay silent and let things drift. Robbins is telling us that the power to change all of it is already in our hands, and it begins the moment we claim our personal power. So what is personal power? It's not about controlling others. It's not about domination or ego. It's about mastering yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, and aligning them with a vision of the life you truly want to live. Robbins says we don't get what we want in life. We get what we tolerate. And too often, we tolerate far less than we deserve because we set our standards too low. Here's a truth Robbins drives home. Decisions shape destiny. Every single decision, no matter how small, moves us closer to or further from the life we want. Do you hit snooze or get up when the alarm rings? Do you reach for junk food or fuel your body with something nourishing? Do you confront the difficult conversation or avoid it yet again? Each of these choices may seem small in the moment, but together they add up to the trajectory of your life. That's why Robbins says we must raise our standards. Decide that mediocrity is no longer acceptable. Decide that you won't just live with good enough when greatness is possible. Decide that the future version of yourself deserves more than the excuses you've been feeding yourself. Because the moment you make a true decision, a decision backed by commitment, not just a passing wish, everything changes. But here's the part that most people miss. Change doesn't come from willpower alone. It comes from changing the way we link pain and pleasure in our minds. Robbins explains that human beings are wired to do whatever brings them pleasure and avoid whatever brings them pain. If you keep procrastinating on exercise, it's because your brain has linked more pain to the idea of working out than to the ideas of staying the same. If you can't break a bad habit, it's because your mind still connects that habit with pleasure, even if logically you know it's destructive. The secret to lasting change is to rewire those links. Attach massive pain to the old behavior and massive pleasure to the new one, and your brain will follow. Let's pause here and really let that sink in. How many times have you promised yourself you'd change, lose weight, quit smoking, start saving, be more patient, only to slip back into the old pattern? It wasn't because you lacked discipline or intelligence. It was because your brain hadn't fully associated enough pain with the old behavior and enough pleasure with the new one. Once you shift those associations, change becomes natural, even automatic. This is the essence of awakening the giant within, realizing that you already have the power, the tools, and the ability to transform your life. The giant doesn't need to be created. It's already inside you. It just needs to be awakened. And the alarm clock that wakes it up is a decision to change your standards, reshape your beliefs, and take control of the pain and pleasure that drive your behavior. So, as we dive deeper into this journey through Awaken the Giant Within, remember this. The power to change your life is not in some distant future. It's not in the hands of fate. It's in the decision you make right now, in this very moment, to take back control. The question is, are you ready to awaken your giant? If decisions shape our destiny, then what shapes the decisions we make every day? Why do some people choose courage while others choose fear? Some build habits that empower them while others repeat behaviors that keep them stuck. Robbins gives us the answer. It all comes down to our beliefs and values. Beliefs are like the maps we carry in our minds. They don't always reflect reality, but they dictate where we think we can go. Imagine driving with an outdated map that shows roads that no longer exist. You'd end up lost, frustrated, maybe even giving up on the journey altogether. That's exactly what happens when we live by limiting beliefs. Think about the beliefs you've carried most of your life. Maybe someone once told you, you're not good with money, and now every time you try budget or invest, you hear that voice in your head. Maybe you grew up hearing, people like us don't get rich, and that invisible ceiling has capped your financial growth for years. Or perhaps you told yourself, I'm just not confident, and that belief has kept you from speaking up, from pursuing opportunities, and from showing the world your real potential. Robbins argues that these beliefs aren't truths. They're just stories we repeated so often that we accept them as reality. And if a belief can hold us back, then a new belief can set us free. He tells us that one of the most powerful things we can do is challenge our old maps, question them, and replace them with ones that actually lead us to the life we desire. Let's imagine two people. One believes, failure is proof I'm not good enough. The other believes, failure is feedback. It's how I learn and grow. Both of them will face obstacles, but their experiences will be worlds apart. The first will give up, shrink back, and avoid risks. The second will push forward, adapt, and ultimately succeed. The only difference is belief. But it's not enough to change one or two beliefs. Robbins encourages us to create an empowering belief system, a framework where the assumptions we live by actually serve our goals instead of sabotaging them. For example, instead of I can't do this, adopt I can learn whatever it takes. Instead of I don't deserve success, claim I am worthy of abundance, and my growth creates value for others. Instead of change is hard, embrace change happens the moment I decide. Beliefs act like the steering wheel of our lives. But if beliefs guide us, then values are the fuel. Values are what we decide are most important, the principles that guide our choices and priorities. And here's the thing, most of us never consciously choose our values. They were absorbed from our parents, our culture, our experiences, sometimes even from random moment of pain or pleasure that left a deep impression on us. Maybe you value security above all else, which makes you avoid risks even when they could lead to massive growth. Maybe you value freedom, but because you've never defined what that really means, you find yourself restless and unfocused. Or maybe you value love, but your fear of rejection keeps you from ever fully experiencing it. Robbins teaches us that if we want to take control of our lives, we need to consciously choose our values. We need to ask, what really matters most to me? What do I want my life to stand for? What emotions do I want to experience consistently? And which ones am I no longer willing to tolerate? This isn't just philosophy. It's practical. Imagine someone whose top value is comfort. They'll avoid challenges, stay in their comfort zone, and resist growth. Now imagine someone whose top value is growth. They'll seek out challenges, embrace discomfort, and constantly push themselves to new levels. The difference between these two people isn't intelligence, luck, or resources. It's values. Tony Robbins even takes it further. Sometimes our values conflict. Maybe you value success, but also value comfort. And those two clash whenever it's time to wake up early, put in the work, or take a risk. Or maybe you value honesty, but also value approval. And you struggle whenever speaking your truth might upset someone. These internal conflicts are what leave so many people stuck. The solution is to reorder our values, to consciously decide which ones come first, which ones truly define us, and which ones we're no longer willing to let drive our behavior. But there's another hidden driver beneath values and beliefs, the rules we attach to them. Think about it. You might say you value love, but what has to happen for you to feel loved? Do you need constant compliments, or is a simple smile enough? If your rules for love are impossible to meet, you'll feel unloved even when surrounded by people who care about you. The same goes for success, happiness, confidence. If your rules are too rigid or too extreme, you'll constantly feel like you're failing. Robbins tells us to change the rules. Make it easy to feel good, hard to feel bad. Set rules that empower you, not trap you. For example, instead of, I'll only feel successful when I earn millions, choose, I feel successful every time I grow, contribute, or take action toward my goals. That way, success becomes a daily experience, not a distant dream. This shift is life-changing. Imagine waking up every morning knowing that your beliefs support your dreams, your values align with your goals, and your rules make it easy to feel fulfilled. That's the internal architecture of a powerful life. Now, let's connect this to you. What are the beliefs you've been carrying that no longer serve you? Maybe you've told yourself, I'll never be financially free, or I can't change because this is just who I am. What if today you chose to challenge that? What if you replaced it with, my past does not equal my future. I am capable of rewriting my story. What are the values driving your choices? Are you chasing security when what you really crave is adventure? Are you prioritizing approval when what you truly need is authenticity? Imagine the clarity that would come from defining your true values and aligning your life with them. And finally, what about your rules? Are you making it almost impossible to feel happy or confident? Are you waiting for perfection before you allow yourself to celebrate? What if you change the rules so you can feel joy in every step of the journey? Tony Robbins isn't giving us abstract ideas here. He's giving us tools to take control of the very foundation of our lives. Beliefs, values, and rules may seem invisible, but they determine everything we do, everything we feel, and ultimately everything we become. When we awaken to this truth, we stop living by default and start living by design. So here's the challenge. Take a moment to examine your own mental maps. Which ones are outdated? Which ones need rewriting? Which values have been chosen for you instead of by you? And what rules are stealing joy from your life instead of amplifying it? Because once you redefine your beliefs, values, and rules, you're no longer a passenger on the journey of life. You're the driver. And that, Robbins says, is a first step toward unleashing the giant within. If beliefs and values shape the framework of our lives, then emotions are the fuel that make us move or keep us stuck. You can have the best goals, the clearest vision, and even the strongest plan, but if you're drowning in fear, anger, or doubt, none of it will matter. That's why Tony Robbins insists that mastering your emotions is one of the greatest skills you can ever learn. Here's the truth. Emotions don't just happen to us. We're not victims of whatever feeling floats through the air. Emotions are created by our thoughts, our focus, our physiology, and the meaning we attach to events. And if we can create them unconsciously, we can also create them consciously. Think about it. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. One person instantly explodes with anger. How dare they? Their body tightens, their heart races. Their whole day gets poisoned by that single moment. Another person in the same situation shrugs, maybe even laughs. Wow, they must really be in a hurry. Hope they're okay. Same event, totally different emotions. Why? Because of the meaning each person chose to attach. Robbins teaches us that if we want emotional mastery, we have to realize that meaning equals emotion. Whatever meaning we assign to an event becomes the feeling we experience. Change the meaning, and you change the emotion. But it's not just meaning. Our focus determines our feelings, too. Ask yourself right now, what would happen if you focus on everything that's gone wrong in your life? You'd probably feel overwhelmed, defeated, maybe even depressed. Now, what if you focus instead on everything you've overcome, everything you've survived, the blessings you have right now? Suddenly, gratitude and strength take over. The events of your life didn't change. Only your focus did. And then there's physiology. Robbins is famous for teaching that motion creates emotion. Slump your shoulders, frown, breathe shallowly. You'll feel tired, sad, powerless. Now stand tall, breathe deeply, smile wide. You'll feel energized, confident, even if nothing else around you has changed. Our bodies are like levers that can instantly shift our emotional state. The real power comes when we combine these tools, focus, meaning, and physiology, to create emotions that serve us instead of sabotage us. Imagine being able to generate confidence whenever you needed it, or calm in the middle of chaos, or motivation when procrastination tries to pull you under. Robbins calls this emotional conditioning, training yourself to call up empowering states on demand until they become habits. And habits, Robbins reminds us, are destiny. Most people think destiny is shaped by dramatic events, but in reality, it's shaped by the tiny things we do every day, our routines, rituals, and patterns. If you want to change your life, change your habits. But here's the catch. Habits aren't just actions. They're emotional patterns. If your habit is to get stressed every time something unexpected happens, that emotional pattern is steering your life. If your habit is to doubt yourself every time you face a challenge, that emotional pattern is stealing opportunities from you. The good news is habits can be rewired. Robbins explains that every habit is formed because at some point it gave us pleasure or helped us avoid pain. That's why breaking habits with sheer willpower doesn't usually work. The brain still links the old habit to some benefit. The secret is to create new habits that give us even more pleasure and associate massive pain with the old ones. Take procrastination, for example. Why we put things off? Because in the moment, it feels easier, more comfortable, less stressful than diving into the work. The brain links short-term pleasure to avoidance. But what if you condition yourself to feel massive pain when you procrastinate? Imagine the opportunities you'll lose, the stress that will pile up, the regret of wasted time, and massive pleasure when you take immediate action, feeling proud, free, and in control. Suddenly, action becomes a habit, and procrastination fades away. Emotional mastery also means refusing to stay trapped in disempowering states. Robbins calls emotions like fear, anger, guilt, and shame negative signals. They're not enemies. They're messengers telling you something needs to change. For example, fear says, prepare, get ready, step up. Anger says, a standard you care about has been violated. Decide if you'll change it, communicate it, or let it go. Guilt says, you've acted against your own values. Realign with what matters to you. Instead of drowning in these emotions, Robbins tells us to listen to them, learn from them, and then use them as fuel for growth. But perhaps the most important part of emotional mastery is deciding which emotions you want to live in most of the time. Do you want your life to be a story of gratitude, joy, and love, or a story of worry, frustration, and resentment? Robbins challenges us to pick our emotional home, the place we return to again and again, and then to raise the standard of what we allow that home to be. Think about it. Some people live in anger. It doesn't matter what happens. They always find a reason to be mad. Others live in gratitude. No matter what happens, they find something to appreciate. Both are habits, and both create entirely different lives. Which emotional home do you want to live in? Robbins doesn't leave us guessing how to do this. He gives practical strategies, like incantations, repeated phrases combined with intense emotion and movement that literally rewire your nervous system. For example, saying with energy every morning, every day, in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger. It might sound silly at first, but when you say it with passion, your brain starts to believe it. Another tool is visualization, not just daydreaming, but vividly imagining yourself already living the results you want, feeling the emotions, seeing the details, stepping into that future until your brain accepts it as real. Athletes use this to enhance performance. Entrepreneurs use it to build businesses. You can use it to transform your mindset. And then there's the power of questions. Robbins says the questions we consistently ask shape our focus, and our focus shapes our feelings. Ask, why does this always happen to me? And your brain will find reasons to feel defeated. Ask, how can I use this? What's great about this? What's the next step? And your brain will generate solutions and hope. Change your questions, change your life. When you put all this together, meaning, focus, physiology, habits, questions, you realize something extraordinary. Emotions are not random. They're not accidents. They're tools, and you're the one holding them. So the question becomes, will you use these tools, or will you let them use you? Will you be at the mercy of whatever emotion drifts into your day? Or will you take the wheel and steer yourself toward the states that empower you? Because here's the truth Robbins shouts from the rooftops. The quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. You could achieve all the success in the world, but if you're constantly stressed, angry, or worried, is that really success? On the other hand, you could be living simply, but if you're filled with joy, love, and peace, you're already rich. Master your emotions, and you master your life. That's the giant within beginning to stir. Because once you realize you can choose how you feel, you can choose the life you create. If mastering emotions is about controlling your inner world, then financial mastery and relationships are about shaping the outer world in ways that support your dreams. Because here's the truth. It doesn't matter how strong your mindset is. If you're constantly drowning in financial stress or toxic relationships, your giant within will never fully awaken. Tony Robbins never sugarcoats it. He says money on its own won't make you happy, but lack of money can absolutely make you miserable. Financial stress destroys marriages, kills dreams, and keeps people trapped in survival mode instead of creation mode. That's why Robbins insists that financial mastery isn't about greed. It's about freedom. It's about creating the stability and abundance that allow you to live life on your terms. But let's pause here. When you hear financial mastery, what comes to mind? For most people, it's about earning more money. Robbins flips that script. He says financial mastery isn't just about income. It's about how you manage, use, and grow money. You probably heard stories of lottery winners who lose it all in a few years. Or athletes who earn millions only to go bankrupt after retirement. Why? Because money without strategy is like water in cupped hands. It slips away. Robbins teaches a principle of paying yourself first. No matter how much you earn, set aside a portion before you spend a dime. Even if it's 10%, even if it's just a few dollars, this simple habit plants the seed of wealth. Over time, it grows into financial freedom. Most people wait until someday to start saving or investing, but someday never comes. The time to start is always now. He also stresses the power of compounding, letting small, consistent actions snowball into massive results. Think of it this way. A single penny doubled every day becomes over $5 million in just a month. That's the power of consistency over time. And it's not just about money. It's about habits, relationships, health. Everything. The small things you do daily matter more than the big things you do occasionally. But Robbins also knows that financial mastery isn't only about numbers. It's about mindset. If deep down you believe money is evil, or that you don't deserve wealth, or that rich people are greedy, you'll unconsciously sabotage your finances. Your beliefs will find a way to keep you broke. That's why part of financial mastery is replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones, believing that wealth is a tool for good, that abundance is your natural right, and that money in the hands of a good person multiplies impact. Now, let's talk about relationships. Robbins says that if there's one area of life that determines your level of happiness more than anything else, it's the quality of your relationships. Success without love feels empty. Achievement without connection feels meaningless. You can conquer the world, but if you're lonely, bitter, or constantly fighting with the people closest to you, you won't feel fulfilled. Relationships are tricky because they magnify who we are. If you're insecure, a relationship will expose it. If you're selfish, it will reveal it. But if you're loving, generous, and strong, a relationship will amplify those qualities too. Robbins explains that the secret to extraordinary relationships is not about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right person. One of the most powerful shifts he teaches is to move from a mindset of getting to a mindset of giving. Most relationships fail because both partners are silently asking, am I getting what I want? But the strongest relationships thrive because both people are asking, how can I give more? How can I make this person's life better? When you shift from a taker to a giver, you stop keeping score and start building love. But giving doesn't mean losing yourself. Robbins is clear. In healthy relationships, both people grow. Both people feel respected. Both people bring energy to the table. If one person is constantly giving while the other only takes, that's not love. That's imbalance. Real love is about contribution, yes, but it's also about partnership. Communication, Robbins says, is the lifeblood of relationships. How you speak, how you listen, how you handle conflict. These make or break connection. Think about it. Have you ever had a tiny misunderstanding spiral into a massive argument? It's never really about the words. It's about the emotions beneath the words. Robbins urges us to listen not just with our ears, but with our hearts, to hear the needs and fears behind what people say. And he emphasizes the importance of standards in relationships. Just like we set standards for ourselves in business or health, we need standards for love and friendship. What kind of energy will you allow in your life? What kind of partner will you be? What kind of partner will you accept? Most people accept far less than they deserve because they're afraid of being alone. But Robbins reminds us, being alone while honoring your standards is better than being in a relationship that destroys your soul. Now, let's tie this into the bigger picture, designing a compelling future. Because whether it's finances or relationships, they're all pieces of a larger puzzle. And that puzzle is your life's vision. Robbins says that without a clear, compelling vision, people drift. They wake up, go to work, pay bills, watch TV, and repeat, never tapping into the extraordinary potential inside them. But with a compelling vision, life becomes exciting. Challenges become meaningful. Every day feels like progress towards something bigger. So, how do you design such a vision? Robbins suggests starting by asking powerful questions. What do I truly want my life to stand for? What kind of person do I want to become? What experiences do I want to create? What contributions do I want to make? He encourages us to dream without limits, to let go of the how at first and focus on the what, because when the what is clear and compelling, the how begins to reveal itself. But vision alone isn't enough. You need goals, specific, measurable, time-bound targets that turn dreams into plans. And you need rituals, daily actions that keep you aligned with that vision. Robbins often says, it's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but what we do consistently. If your rituals match your vision, your future is inevitable. Let's imagine this practically. Say your vision is to build a business that helps people and gives you freedom. Your daily ritual might be spending one focused hour every morning working on that business before anything else. If your vision is to have a loving relationship, your ritual might be sending your partner a message of appreciation every day. If your vision is to be financially free, your ritual might be automatically saving and investing a percentage of every paycheck. These small, consistent actions create momentum. And momentum is everything. Robbins reminds us that once a train starts moving, it can break through barriers that would have stopped it when it was still at rest. That's why starting is so powerful. Once you start, life begins to move with you. And here's the beautiful part. When you align your finances, your relationships, and your vision, everything begins to flow. Money becomes a tool for contribution. Relationships become a source of energy instead of stress. Your future becomes magnetic, pulling you forward instead of you constantly pushing uphill. That's the life Robbins calls us to create. A life by design, not by default. A life where the giant within isn't just awake, but fully alive, fully expressed, fully unstoppable. Up until now, we've explored the pillars of Robbins' philosophy: beliefs, values, emotions, finances, relationships, and vision. But here's the truth. Knowledge without action is useless. Inspiration without execution is just entertainment. If you want to awaken the giant within, you must act. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Tony Robbins calls this the principle of decisive action. He says, a real decision is measured by the fact that you've taken new action. If there's no action, you haven't truly decided. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you said you decided to change, decided to eat healthier, to save money, to start that project, but then took no action. In reality, that wasn't a decision. It was a wish. A decision means cutting off any other option. It means burning the boats, so there's no going back. So how do we turn all of these powerful concepts into action? Robbins offers a clear path. The first step is clarity. Decide what you truly want, not what society expects of you, not what your friends or family think is reasonable. What you want. Write it down. Describe it in detail. Feel it as if it's already real. Clarity is power. Without it, you drift. With it, you gain direction. The second step is raising your standards. If you keep living by the same standards you've always had, you'll keep living the same life you've always had. Decide today that you won't tolerate what you used to tolerate. Raise the bar on your health, your finances, your relationships, your emotions. Declare to yourself, this is who I am now. This is what I accept. This is what I demand of myself. When you raise your standards, your life has no choice but to rise to meet them. The third step is to develop empowering rituals. Remember, success is not built in a day. It's built daily. Robbins is known for his own morning routine, which includes breathing exercises, gratitude, affirmations, and movement. He primes his mind and body every morning for peak performance. You don't have to copy his exact routine, but you do need one that sets your tone for the day. It could be 10 minutes of meditation, writing down 3 things you're grateful for, exercising, reading something uplifting, whatever fuels your state. The fourth step is to use leverage. Willpower is limited, but leverage is unstoppable. Tie massive pain to not taking action. Imagine in vivid detail how your life will look in 5 years if you keep procrastinating. Then tie massive pleasure to taking action. Picture the freedom, joy, and pride you'll feel when you follow through. Your brain moves toward pleasure and away from pain. Use that wiring to your advantage. The fifth step is constant growth. Robbins says, if you're not growing, you're dying. Life is never stagnant. Either you're expanding your comfort zone or shrinking inside it. Feed your mind with books, podcasts, mentors, new skills. Feed your body with energy-giving habits. Feed your spirit with contribution. Growth is the antidote to stagnation. And finally, contribution. Robbins emphasizes again and again that the secret to living is giving. When you shift your focus from what can I get to what can I give, your life transforms. Contribution creates meaning. Contribution brings fulfillment that achievement alone can't provide. Whether it's giving your time, your resources, your knowledge, or simply your kindness, contribution connects you to something bigger than yourself. Now, imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and decide that today is the day you stop waiting for permission. Today is the day you raise your standards. Today is the day you condition your mind and body for success. Today is the day you decide that your giant will no longer sleep inside you. It will rise, step into the light, and take command of your destiny. Close your eyes and picture it. You walking with certainty. You speaking with confidence. You taking bold actions that once scared you. You creating wealth, building love, living fully. That version of you is not in the distant future. That version of you is already inside, waiting for you to call it out. So let me ask you, what will you do in the next 24 hours to awaken your giant? Will you write down your vision? Will you make the call you've been avoiding? Will you start the habit you've been delaying? The answer doesn't matter as much as the fact that you act. Because once you take one step, momentum will carry you to the next. Remember this. Your destiny is shaped in moments of decision. Right here, right now, you have the power to decide who you will become. You can let the next year be a repeat of the last, or you can let it be the year your life changes forever. The giant within you is real. It's powerful. It's waiting. All it needs is for you to take that first bold step. And if this message spoke to you, if you feel that fire stirring inside, then make sure to subscribe to this channel. Because here, we'll keep fueling that fire with more insights, more wisdom, and more tools to help you design the life you deserve. Your journey is just beginning. Don't let it stop here. Take action today and awaken the giant within.